Hey, it's Kley. Welcome to another video. It's going to be the next continuation in my 6V6 Hifi amp build. We are going to be fabricating the chassis in this video. Now, as you can see, I have got a piece of steel, I believe this is, that I got from my local Ace Hardware. I apologize, I don't recall the gauge, maybe 18 gauge? I don't recall. But it's pretty substantial. And then I got this piece of angle aluminum. That's the front plate. And I have those 3 screws and bolts that are on that. So that's going to be the front control plate. So what you see me doing here now is I am marking and drilling holes for placing the power transformer. Now, unfortunately, to my great sadness, the power transformer that I have here is a through-hole transformer, meaning the body of it is meant to go through the chassis instead of sitting on top. So I have to machine out the power transfer I'm actually using. The spec is for it is like a 5E3 Tweed Deluxe spec. So I start by drilling these holes, and you can see I'm using my drill, and I just start with a small drill bit with the intention of trying to be a little more accurate, and then I slowly step up to the larger drill bits, and just trying to do my best to line all this up. This is somewhat imprecise, and for those of you out there that are really into perfect straight lines and symmetries, I apologize. This may cause some conniptions for you, but that's how I choose to do it. So now I have to hog out everything in that outlined area in blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm just taking my drill bits and drilling holes to start on the curves to just get me going. So that's my starting point for hogging out all this material. And then I will eventually move on to using my rotary tool to grind it out. But this at least gives me a starting point. And again, slowly stepping up my drill bits. Just it's easier on the drill bits and allows me to be more precise. So slowly stepping up, and I'm ready to move on. So now I got it clamped to my workbench, a little different angle. And you can see my Dremel rotary tool. I just got a little stone grinding wheel attachment. And I'm just going to go ahead and grind my way through this whole sucker. And just to be totally frank and honest with you guys, this part of the build, you can see I actually destroyed my deal. I needed to get a new one. This one's a little more robust, but yeah, this part of the build is a little rough. And I kind of, I mean, you got to do it, and it's neat to manufacture your own chassis, and it's really cheap doing that way, but it definitely is a bit of a bugger. And so this kind of metalworking is not really my forte. Yeah, it just takes time, and you got to keep pounding through it. There's no real secrets to it. Just use your rotary tool. I'm sure there's probably a better way to do it, but this is what I've got. The tools that I've got to work with here are as follows. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around, trying to just hog out this dumb hole. Okay, so now that I do have a hole, though, it's not quite big enough. I intentionally undersized it, but now I am going to need to grind away at this opening until I get it to slide through correctly. And that's just going to, be a process of me continuing to eat away at the end bits of this until I get it to poke through. Alright guys, this is quite a moment. After a whole lot of work grinding on this chassis, I have a hole. It's not the prettiest. I still need some work to clean up the burrs, but I use a combination of my drill and this Tack Life Dremel tool with these grinding attachments to drill holes and then to grind away the in-between waste so I can do this. I gotta tell you guys, this was kind of brutal. Working on fabricating this chassis like this is not a terribly enjoyable experience. You make all this metal dust, and it's just kind of slow and tedious, and it's loud, but look at that. Fits like a glove. So it's a top mounter. It's a little crooked, but you know what? It fits. And so we're happy with that. Man, I am pleased to be done with that hole. Hardest part of fabricating the chassis Yeah, I really should have gotten a top mount, but that's what I had on hand, so that's what we're going to use. Let's keep moving forward. As you guys can see, I was pretty elated to have that done. Just forget how brutal working on that chassis can be. But yeah, now we're moving forward to mount the rest of the transformers. Got everything laid out, my two output transformers, and my filter choke. Now, I'm trying to, again, be a little bit tedious using my ruler to make sure everything is a little bit square. And again, starting with a small drill bit and working my way up. The only other thing that I do want to mention here is with mounting these transformers, the output transformers, you want them to be rotated so that they are not on the same plane as the power transformer. So you can see like the end bell, the curved end bell of the power transformer is pointing up at the camera. So you want to take your output transformers and turn and rotate them. So as soon as I'm done drilling these holes, you'll see how I mount them. But again, the basic idea is you want to flip them so the end bell caps would be pointing right and left relative to what you guys see here. And that just helps to reject some noise so that the signals that are going from the power transformer compared to the output transformer are so vastly different that you want to do your best to keep them separated. So just drilling out these holes, again, same process. I start with a little hole and I slowly hog it out. Now you can see I've got a stepped drill bit here on my drill, and that just helps me to deburr these holes pretty quickly. I'd highly recommend a stepped drill bit. It's one of the best tool investments I've made when it comes to all kinds of things with drilling holes. So now it's just a process of making sure that my screws and that they all fit correctly, and we should be pretty much good to go to mount this sucker. Gotta hog out these holes just a little bit more, but at this point we are pretty much ready to get these holes drilled in. Alright, so now that I've got all my holes drilled, I'm starting to mount my transformers, and just the process of getting the screws on the other side. I do like to use toothed washers between the chassis and the nut. That helps with these because there is some vibration that these guys will struggle with sometimes, so having those toothed washers really helps to keep the nuts from falling off due to the vibrations. But yeah, just gotta get these suckers screwed on and installed, and then we're looking pretty darn good. And here's my finished transformer. You can see the orientation there, how the end bell caps are rotated and flipped. Alright, so now I am moving on to the front panel. Going to do some basic stuff. I'm over here by the power transformer side, and I'm going to put my power switch, my fuse, and my LED. So just marking out some holes, and again, trying to use my ruler here to be a little bit accurate. Couldn't quite make up my mind on the spacing. I initially went with 1 inch, and now I think I go into 1.5 inches because I felt like I wanted a little more space so they weren't so tight. I got plenty of room on this front panel, but again, using my little tiny drill bits first, and then moving up as needed to make sure we get the fit just right. But yeah, I find that this is my easiest way to try to get these things lined up correctly. I admit I don't always do it quite right, but I don't love putting this kind of strain on the chassis with this kind of vibration with all my other components installed, so it is probably going to be necessary to go back through and retighten all my nuts, because drilling into the chassis like I'm doing now is going to cause quite a bit of vibration, but it should be okay. Now I'm just fitting these parts to themselves. I'm not trying to measure to a certain drill bit size. I literally have the part on hand that needs to go through the hole, and I just open up the hole with a little larger bit until it fits. And again, just deburring with my step bit and some sandpaper, and now my power switch fits. Unfortunately, it is going to need to go in left and right sideways, which is a little odd, but that's not a problem. It's nothing that we can't handle. So then next I'm going to do my power indicator LED. Now this is, I think, a 120 volt neon bulb, so it's actually going to go right in line with my power switch and my fuse. So again, the power that's going to be coming in from my IEC plug will go, the hot end will go into the switch, into the LED, into the fuse. And then it'll complete the circuit on the primary side of the power transformer if it all flows through there. So again, just hogging this out, and it fits perfectly. And that's really going to complete all of my chassis fabrication for now. I'm just going to wait until my PCB comes in. Things have been a little slow from China due to the coronavirus, so shout out to all the wonderful people in China. Hope you guys are doing well. But we're just going to keep moving on. Here we go.